Welcome to Zengin Movies, where every story hides a secret waiting to be uncovered. 20 years ago, Keanu Reeves stepped into the shadows as John Constantine, the chain-smoking, demon-fighting anti-hero in a supernatural noir like no other. Today, we're unlocking 20 fascinating facts you never knew about this cult classic. Let's step into the darkness and find out why Constantine still captivates us 2 decades later. Let's kick things off with fact number 1. And it might just surprise you. Fact 1. Constantine's look was based on Sting. John Constantine didn't actually debut in Hellblazer. His first appearance was in Swamp Thing number 37 in 1985, created by writer Alan Moore and artists Stephen R. Bissett and John Totleben. They deliberately modeled him after rock legend Sting, giving him a punk rock edge. Blonde hair, sharp features, a trench coat, and a world-weary, rebellious attitude. This early Constantine was a street-smart, working-class Brit with a sharp tongue and a knack for manipulating both people and the occult. When Hellblazer launched in 1988 as his own solo series under DC's Vertigo imprint, it fully embraced that gritty, mature tone. The series ran for 300 issues and became one of the most iconic horror comics ever published, blending supernatural horror, political commentary, and personal tragedy with dark British wit. Then came the 2005 film adaptation, where Keanu Reeves portrayed Constantine as a dark-haired, brooding American anti-hero. The change in look and tone sparked debate among comic fans, but Reeves's take still earned a cult following for capturing the character's tortured soul and relentless fight against hell. Now onto fact number 2. And trust me, the road to Constantine was anything but smooth. Fact 2. 8 years of development hell. Work on a Constantine movie actually started back in 1997 when producer Lauren Schuler Donner secured the rights to the Hellblazer comics. But instead of moving quickly, the project became trapped in what Hollywood famously calls development hell, and stayed there for almost 8 years. Early on, Warner Brothers attached music video director Paul Hunter to helm the film. Several script drafts were written, including an early version by screenwriter Kevin Broadbent. However, disagreements over tone, character direction, and faithfulness to the source material kept stalling progress. At one point, the studio considered a much more surreal, theological version of the story under the vision of director Tarsem Singh, known for The Cell, whose signature was heavily artistic, dreamlike visuals. This version would have leaned far deeper into mysticism and darker religious imagery, but creative differences, escalating budget concerns, and an uncertain tone caused that attempt to collapse too. Multiple rewrites passed through different hands, with various ideas debated, including whether to keep Constantine British, stay faithful to his gritty, working-class roots, or Americanize the story for broader appeal. It wasn't until the early 2000s that a fresh direction emerged. Keanu Reeves expressed interest in the role, and Francis Lawrence, a talented music video director, was tapped to make his feature film debut. The team reimagined Constantine as a brooding, American anti-hero navigating a dark Los Angeles landscape soaked in Catholic symbolism, demons, and noir-style atmosphere. After nearly a decade of false starts, rewrites, and artistic clashes, Constantine finally left development hell and arrived on screens in 2005. And speaking of what could have been, let's talk about a major casting twist you might not know. Fact 3. Nicolas Cage almost played Constantine. During the film's early development in the late 90s, Nicolas Cage was actually attached to star as John Constantine. Cage, who was already a huge fan of comic books and supernatural themes, signed on when the project was still finding its identity, long before Keanu Reeves entered the picture. At that time, the film was imagined with a very different tone, likely more surreal, darker, and closer to the mystical and religious elements found in the original Hellblazer comics. Cage's signature intensity would have brought a wild, unpredictable energy to the role, but creative struggles, constant script rewrites, and changes in directorial vision led to delays. Eventually, Cage stepped away from the project, leaving the door open for a complete reinvention, and ultimately paving the way for Keanu Reeves to redefine Constantine in a darker, brooding, and more grounded style. Just imagine, in another universe, we could have seen a Constantine with a wild-eyed, manic energy only Nicolas Cage could deliver. And it wasn't just the lead actor that changed. Even behind the camera, there was a major first-time gamble. Fact 4. Francis Lawrence's big screen debut. When Constantine finally moved forward, Warner Brothers handed the directing reins to Francis Lawrence, a bold choice, considering he had never directed a feature film before. At the time, Lawrence was best known for his highly stylized music videos, working with major artists like Britney Spears, Aerosmith, and Green Day. His sharp eye for visual storytelling, moody atmospheres, and surreal imagery made him a natural fit for the film's dark, supernatural tone. Constantine marked Lawrence's first venture into the world of blockbuster filmmaking, and it set the stage for an incredible career. He would later go on to direct major hits like I Am Legend starring Will Smith and several entries in the Hunger Games series, including Catching Fire and Mockingjay. Not bad for a first time behind the camera. And Constantine still stands today as one of the most stylish debuts in the genre. Now let's shift gears, because not everyone was excited about Constantine's leap to the big screen. Fact 5. Alan Moore refused credit for the film. Alan Moore, the legendary writer behind Hellblazer, wanted nothing to do with the film adaptation of Constantine. Frustrated by Hollywood's previous versions of his work, like From Hell and The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, both of which he felt strayed too far from his original vision, Moore declined to have his name attached to the movie entirely. In fact, he went even further. Moore asked that any royalties he would have earned from Constantine be given instead to the original artists who helped bring John Constantine to life in the comics, like Stephen R. Bissett and John Totleben. It was a powerful statement about creative integrity, and a rare move in an industry where most creators fight for credit, not against it. And speaking of bold changes, even the film's title took a surprising turn before release. Fact 6. The movie's title was changed to avoid confusion. Originally, the film was going to be called Hellblazer, just like the comic series that introduced John Constantine to the world. But there was a problem. At the time, the Hellraiser horror franchise was still well known, and studios worried that audiences might confuse the two. To avoid any mix-ups, and to help the film stand on its own, the title was changed to simply Constantine. While some fans were disappointed that the darker, edgier comic name was dropped, the clean, one-word title helped position the movie as a character-driven supernatural thriller, separate from the bloodier horror genre. And one of the biggest changes? It wasn't just the title. It was the entire world Constantine lived in. Fact 7. The setting was changed to Los Angeles. In the comics, John Constantine's world was rooted in the gritty, rain-soaked streets of London, a reflection of his cynical, working-class character. But for the 2005 film, the setting was completely reimagined. Constantine's battleground was moved across the Atlantic to a hot, sprawling, and surreal version of Los Angeles. The filmmakers believed that LA's hazy skies, spiritual undercurrents, and urban decay provided the perfect backdrop for the story's battle between heaven and hell. The change gave the movie a more dreamlike noir atmosphere, blending Catholic imagery with American urban mysticism, while allowing Francis Lawrence to craft a unique visual style that stood apart from traditional horror or superhero films. Though some comic fans missed the original London vibe, the LA setting became a defining part of the film's distinctive identity. And if you think everything in Constantine was custom-made, think again. Fact 8. The Spear of Destiny was recycled from Hellboy. One of the most powerful artifacts in Constantine, the legendary Spear of Destiny, actually wasn't created just for this film. In fact, the prop was recycled directly from 2004's Hellboy, another dark supernatural comic book adaptation. Rather than crafting an entirely new spear, the production team reused and modified the existing prop to fit Constantine's mythos. It's a classic example of Hollywood thrift, blending creativity with practicality, and most audiences never notice the hand-me-down weapon at the heart of Constantine's epic battle between good and evil. And speaking of movie magic, sometimes the most powerful weapons come from the most unexpected places. Fact 9. Holy water grenades were Christmas ornaments. Remember those holy water grenades that Constantine uses to blast demons? They might look high-tech and mystical on screen, but in reality they were made from simple Christmas ornaments filled with water. For certain scenes, the filmmakers even swapped in regular water balloons to make the explosions look more dynamic and unpredictable. It's a clever behind-the-scenes trick, turning everyday objects into powerful weapons of holy destruction, and a testament to how resourcefulness and a little creativity can deliver big on screen. And it wasn't just the special effects that went the extra mile. Even the actors took their preparation to chilling extremes. Fact 10. Rachel Weisz visited real morgues for her role. To prepare for her role as Angela Dodson, a tough and determined LAPD detective, Rachel Weisz didn't just rely on imagination. She went straight into the real world of death and investigation. Weisz visited actual morgues, observing forensic procedures and immersing herself in the cold, clinical environments her character would know all too well. Her dedication helped bring a grounded realism to Angela's character, adding emotional weight to the supernatural chaos unfolding around her. It's just one more example of the unseen commitment that gave Constantine its emotional depth beneath all the demons and dark magic. And when it comes to vices, Constantine's habits go far beyond just cigarettes. Fact 11. Constantine drinks Ardbeg whiskey. Throughout the film, John Constantine isn't just battling demons and puffing away on cigarettes. He's also seen sipping Ardbeg, a smoky, peaty single malt whiskey from the Scottish island of Islay. Known for its intense, earthy flavor and strong kick, Ardbeg is a fitting choice for a man who has literally walked through hell and back. It's a small but deliberate detail that perfectly reflects Constantine's hard-edged personality, a character steeped in bitterness, grit, and a constant brush with death. Even in his quiet moments, Constantine's world remains dark, dangerous, and just a little bit self-destructive. But Keanu's dedication to Constantine didn't stop when the cameras stopped rolling. Hey, if you're still watching, it means you're loving these secrets. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss more fun facts and deep dives here on Zengin Movies. Fact 12. Keanu Reeves bought the Holy Shotgun prop as a gift. After filming Wrapped, Keanu Reeves personally purchased one of the movie's most iconic props, the Holy Shotgun, Constantine's custom-built demon-slaying weapon. But instead of keeping it for himself, Keanu gifted the Holy Shotgun to director Francis Lawrence as a thank you for his vision and hard work on the film. It's a gesture that perfectly captures Keanu's legendary reputation for generosity and humility, both on set and off. And honestly, can Keanu get any cooler than that? Fact 13. A deleted character. Ellie the half-breed demon. Michelle Monaghan was originally cast as Ellie, a half-breed demon and a potential love interest for Constantine. Ellie's character would have added a complex emotional layer to Constantine's world, a bond between two broken souls caught between heaven and hell. However, during editing, filmmakers made the tough decision to cut Ellie's scenes entirely. They felt that Constantine's deep isolation, his lonely war against the forces of darkness, would be even more powerful if he remained completely alone. While Monaghan's performance was lost from the final film, her scenes still exist in deleted footage, offering a glimpse into what might have been. And when it came to creating the terrifying vision of hell, the filmmakers took inspiration from a very real and chilling source. Fact 14. Hell's look was inspired by nuclear test footage. Instead of the traditional fire and brimstone depiction, director Francis Lawrence reimagined hell as a scorched, decaying wasteland, shaped by the sudden, devastating shockwaves of nuclear explosions. Lawrence studied real footage of atomic bomb tests, focusing on how powerful blasts would obliterate everything in an instant, leaving behind twisted metal, charred landscapes, and endless clouds of ash. This gave Constantine's version of hell a haunting realism, a place frozen in the moment of destruction, filled with oppressive winds, burning debris, and a constant sense of violent aftermath. It wasn't just visually stunning. It made hell feel disturbingly plausible, as if it could exist just beneath the surface of our own world. And sometimes the film's most powerful moments hide deeper connections to Constantine's comic book roots. Fact 15. Constantine's haunted past. There's a haunting line in the movie where Constantine warns Angela that he doesn't want her to become just another ghost following him. It's not just dramatic flair. It's a direct nod to the original Hellblazer comics, where Constantine is literally haunted by the spirits of those he has failed to save. Throughout the comic series, guilt and loss are constant companions for Constantine, manifesting in ghosts that linger around him as a constant reminder of his past mistakes. The film captures this painful element of his character subtly, layering the supernatural battles with emotional scars that no exorcism can erase. And hidden among the angels and demons of Constantine's world is a real-life legend making a secret appearance. Fact 16. Domino Harvey's cameo. In one quick but unforgettable moment inside Papa Midnight's bar, model and real-life bounty hunter Domino Harvey makes a blink-and-you'll-miss-it cameo. She appears as an angel, calmly seated, while a mischievous demon nibbles at her ear. Domino was a larger-than-life figure outside of Hollywood, and her appearance in Constantine adds a subtle, real-world edge to the film's already chaotic underworld. It's one of those hidden Easter eggs that fans love to spot, and just another example of how Constantine layered reality and myth together in surprising ways. And speaking of deleted characters, one actress's presence still lingers in the final cut, if you know where to look. Fact 17. Gabriel's hospital bracelets symbolize human emotions. In the climactic scenes of Constantine, Tilda Swinton's character, Gabriel, is seen wearing multiple hospital bracelets. These aren't mere accessories. They bear inscriptions like passion, sorrow, rage, love, and awakening. According to director Francis Lawrence, these bracelets were a last-minute addition inspired by Swinton herself. They serve as tangible reminders of the human emotions Gabriel seeks to understand or perhaps manipulate. Originally, the idea was to have these words written directly on Gabriel's arms, but the bracelets offered a more subtle and poignant touch. This detail underscores Gabriel's complex relationship with humanity and her internal struggle between divine detachment and human empathy. Fact 18. The original vision for a darker sequel. After Constantine hit theaters, there were serious plans for a much darker, R-rated sequel, tentatively titled Through the Eye of the Needle. Keanu Reeves was fully on board to return as the chain-smoking exorcist, and early ideas promised an even grittier exploration of faith, damnation, and redemption. The sequel would have pushed deeper into Constantine's moral struggles, diving into an even bleaker, more supernatural world. Unfortunately, despite the cult following and fan enthusiasm, the project was trapped in development limbo, caught between creative differences and studio hesitation over its darker tone, and it never materialized. It remains one of Hollywood's great what-ifs, a sequel that could have taken Constantine's story to an even more daring and emotional place. And even before audiences entered the theater, the marketing for Constantine was already setting a bold tone. Fact 19. Constantine's posters varied wildly. The theatrical posters for Constantine showed just how many different faces the film could wear. Some designs leaned into dark, smoky atmospheres, capturing the film's noir, supernatural vibe, while others featured Keanu Reeves in dynamic action poses, gun in hand, ready to face the forces of hell. A few international posters even paid homage to the classic two-toned style made famous by Scarface, using stark black and white contrast to highlight Constantine's struggle between light and darkness. The variety reflected the film's layered identity, part gritty exorcist thriller, part supernatural noir, part character-driven redemption story. And finally, let's talk about the legacy that no one saw coming. Fact 20. Constantine became a cult classic over time. When Constantine first hit theaters in 2005, some critics quickly dismissed it as just another Matrix-style action movie, riding on the heels of Keanu Reeves' earlier success. But over time, the film carved out its own identity. Thanks to its bold visuals, darker tone, and deep emotional undercurrents, Constantine found a second life as a beloved cult classic, especially among fans of darker comic book adaptations like Spawn and Blade. Today, it's celebrated not for how closely it followed the comics, but for the unique atmospheric world it created, and the unforgettable mark it left on supernatural cinema. In the end, Constantine wasn't a perfect comic book adaptation, but it was bold, atmospheric, and unforgettable. 2 decades later, it's still fighting for its place in our memories. And it's winning. Here you've uncovered 20 hidden facts you probably didn't know, secrets that make Constantine even more legendary. If you loved these hidden gems and behind-the-scenes stories, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more deep dives into cult classics, right here on Zengin Movies. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.